Hello to our Facebook friends, our Facebook family, our Lunchtime Live followers. I thought I would start the live stream, with a beautiful view of from where I'm standing today, and we'll start in just a minute or two. Just wanted to go ahead and get it going so that if anyone is logging in early, they can take advantage of the beautiful view here at the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve for a minute or so before we start the program. So we have a couple of folks who have tuned in a little bit early. We will start in just a minute. It is almost noon, and you can see the marine layer has burned off. Hope everyone can hear me all right. I appreciate any feedback on how the audio is going. If I sound all right, if you can hear me loud and clear. We have a beautiful day here at the Tijuana Estuary in Imperial Beach, California, from the very east corner of the research reserve. I see we have we have 6 people in our audience so far this morning, or it's noontime. Can everybody hear me all right? Hi Mark, great to see you. Just double checking that audio. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. Okay, great. Audio is good. I really appreciate that. You just never know. Right now, the helicopters are at a minimum. The wind is windy. It's going, but it's not too bad, especially for this location. So here I am standing just at the very northeast corner of the reserve, to the east of the visitor center. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate that. That the audio is good, and right next to the little sports park. I don't know how many of you have been over here. I am just off of the alley behind Fifth. So if you know where that is, I'm going to turn this a little to. We have Seacoast Drive to my west, and for those of you who've never been to the reserve, if you want to pull us up on Google Maps or something, get a sense of place, or do that afterwards, just remember we're in the northeast corner of the research reserve. And Seacoast Drive to the west there. Marine layer still hiding the Coronado Islands, and the same for Tijuana, kind of poking through the haze on the other side of the neighborhood. Hi Joe. Hi everyone. So yeah, I guess it's windy. It doesn't feel very windy here. Maybe the wind is coming through. Not an issue today. So let's see. We'll turn this around. And here I am. Hello everyone, all of our Facebook friends and family, our Lunchtime Live followers. I am Maria, and I am an interpreter and research assistant here at the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve, or Tijuana Estuary for short. And for those of you, I hope we have some new friends in the audience today. We'd love to make some new friends. Feel free to share our videos and our live streams. For those of you who like to tune in, we would appreciate that. And this is a weekly live stream, Facebook live stream, that allows us to bring the research reserve to you at home while we're all still enduring those stay-at-home orders and following all of the guidelines that we need to do to work together to flatten that curve and get us all back in the park so we can do these in person. But it's so wonderful we have this technology to bring this to you, and I really look forward to these, and I really look forward to that feedback. So feel free to give me thumbs ups during the program. Ask questions if they're not related to the topic. I'll make sure to answer them later, and share any photos or any comments related to the topic, either during the live stream or afterwards. You can always come back and comment. And for anyone that's tuning in later. So again, my name is Maria, and today I want to just dive right in to revealing who exactly is spitting in the bushes. Kind of funny, right? Spitting in the bushes. Maybe you've seen this before, where you've been out either around the visitor center, or you don't even have to, in our open spaces, or even in your backyard, and you're seeing kind of this frothy, white, bubbly substance on a lot of the plants. Well, today we're going to reveal the culprit and uncover exactly why this is occurring. And so, oh good, somebody was actually wondering. Yeah, and this is something that we see every year. I see every year. I'm not a native of San Diegan, but I've been here long enough that this is a regular occurrence around this time of year. And particularly on a particular plant, which we'll get into. But first I just want to tell you, any guesses on what species, who is the culprit here? Just a general category of species that might be causing this. A couple of people wondering. Excellent. Yeah. So if you're thinking an insect, you are correct. You are correct. So there's an insect behind this mystery. And that insect is a species commonly known as a frog hopper. Okay, and this is a very tiny individual, and I don't have an individual here with me. We don't often see the adult frog hopper, but I'm going to show you a picture in just a minute. But frog hoppers are in there are several families of frog hoppers, and they're in the order Hemiptera. This is the true bugs. Okay, so the true bugs. So a lot of times we think that some insects that really aren't, we call them bugs, but they aren't really in the order of true bugs. John, that's a great guess, caterpillar. But we'll find out in just a minute if caterpillar is the correct term. So frog hopper also sometimes resembles what's called a leaf hopper. Okay, so the adult frog hopper, I'm going to show you a picture of one here. Okay, this one here, an adult frog hopper. Okay, so this adult frog hopper, obviously enlarged, really only about 1/8 of an inch long. Okay, and they resemble leaf hoppers in that they have wings. They have wings, but they don't use them really to fly. Instead, they're known for hopping. And as you can see in this photo, I picked this one specifically. This was, I think, positioned in a lab where the legs are extended. So you can see that even though this insect, which remember is 1/8 of an inch long, can fly, it hops, and it hops at speeds and distances that would surprise you. Okay, but what? So that gives them their name, and maybe a clue as to why we don't see them. One, they're so tiny, and two, they move so quickly. They move so quickly that we don't see them, but they belong to that group, the Hemiptera, the true bugs. And one of the things that makes a true bug is that they have mouth parts designed for sucking, for sucking, for attaching and pulling out. Okay, and so these frog hoppers, these true bugs, as an adult, aren't really doing that portion, the sucking. Okay, and so what we're seeing, since we're not really seeing the adult frog hopper. What we're seeing is a different stage. Okay? And insects do go through different stages. One thing I want to point out is that their coloration is usually kind of mottled, kind of pale to dark brown. They are found throughout the United States. There are about six species in California, and they're in different families. And I believe the one here at the Tijuana estuary is in the, I have to look this, is the Clestopteridae family. But there are so many families, I'm not exactly sure about that, but what I think is frog hoppers are relatively similar in behavior and lifestyle throughout. Okay, so they're found throughout. And they have often like a false eye on the tail end. Okay, so this is the front end. Those legs that give it that name, doing that hop, okay? And then the false eye. This one doesn't show it quite as well, but if you look them up, there's some pretty neat photos of these guys, especially when they're not in this position. You wouldn't know that they have that kind of ability to hop in those legs. They're kind of more tucked up. Again, very small. Okay, so what we're seeing though, when we're seeing the frothy spit-like substance on the plant, which I will show you in just a second here. I'm going to get you off the tripod, stop looking at me, and we're going to get down and look at exactly what I'm talking about. So let me show you that first, and then we'll bring you back up, and I'll show you exactly what we're looking at. So let's see. Let me get you off of here. And as we move to the plant itself, just beside me here, thinking about so we had one guess, caterpillar. What stage within the frog hopper life cycle are we seeing here? So I'm standing back on this plant here, Isocoma menzii, or golden bush. Oh, Deborah, that's a great guess. Maybe you're familiar with this one. Can you see that on this green colored plant, the stems grow up? You see that? Do you see the white lens in just a minute? Okay. This is the They aren't, this larva of audio is cutting off. Hear me now. Can you hear me now? So let's do this. We'll put the macro lens on here, and we'll take a look. Oh no, lots of static. Oh dear. All right, so let's do this. All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me now. So we'll wait for some feedback as we look a little closer at the frothy substance. There. All right, so there we go. The frothy substance. The spit on the golden bush. What is that? What you've seen before? And if you can really see it, you can really see it all over here on the isocoma, on the golden bush. All right. Just want to show it to you again. This, we've got some nice sunlight. I don't want to disturb this. I don't want to disturb it, but I want you to be able to see the bubbles. And we are not going to probe into the frothy white spittle. We will now take a look at who is creating making the spittle. And whoever said nymph was correct. So that adult frog hopper will lay its eggs on plants like this golden bush. And when the eggs hatch, and then what they hatch into is not an adult frog hopper, but a nymph. Okay, so that's that stage before metamorphosis, before development into an adult of a young frog hopper. The nymph there, kind of very shiny, okay, lacking color except for sort of the same color as the plant. Maybe not a mistake, maybe so that it's camouflaged. And again, so remember those true bugs have those mouth parts that then they just eat and eat and eat, sucking out the watery sap from the plant, ingesting that for nutrition. However, they are not, that sap is not very nutritious, and so the nymph has to, we call them spittle bugs. Spittle bugs, they eat a lot of it. They drink so much of that they have to get rid of it. And they then, through their abdomen, excrete that frothy substance. That bubbly, frothy substance. And they're excreting over 150 times their body mass in spit, in that frothy, bubbly spittle that gives them their name. And what this does is this encases them, right? Here we see the spittle bug emerge from the spittle, which they do. They do that to get air. However, the spittle makes a great hiding place from predators. It allows the bug to stay moist, not to dry out. Okay, and then when it's time to move on from being a spittle bug, the nymph stage of the leaf hopper, then it's time to get into one of the larger bubbles. It'll make a really large bubble, and it will, like a cocoon, develop inside into an adult leaf hopper or frog hopper. Great question, Buffy. They do it from their abdomen, their back side, there. Okay, and they do this roughly this time of year. If you have been out and around some local canyons, the Silver Strand, which is where I came by this morning on a bike, trails around the visitor center, normally, we'll get into that in just a second, Fifth and Iris, they are in mass like this particular golden bush here. Okay. So, and what prompted me to feature them today is, yes, they are what we might say jokingly in season, sort of in season. You can see the golden bush, although a lot of the other chaparral plants are starting to have gone dormant or dropping their leaves. The golden bush is still thriving. In fact, this plant is in the Asteraceae family. You'll see it's still flowering there. So And it's got these tiny yellow flowers. Okay, so this is one of those plants that takes a little bit longer, remains a little longer through our summer season. Are they generalists? So that is a great question, Deborah. Are they? So what I have primarily noticed, and my coworkers alike, I'm not an entomologist, is that they primarily here, at least in San Diego or here in the South Bay, on this particular plant called golden bush. And I think maybe that's because it is one of the few that's still, unlike some of the other plants in the chaparral, that have already started to go dormant. So maybe there's not a lot of sap left for the spittlebugs. So this one seems to be, and I don't know if you can see the distance over there, that the several individuals just next door to this one also have spittlebug masses, and so to speak. And these can get up to, as you can see, they get quite large. And this nymph is tiny. The adult's only 1/8 of an inch. So fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And like I said, what sparked this for me is we typically see these in the Isocoma, the golden bush, around the visitor center. But this year, because of being shut down, of not being able to have volunteers come out and trail maintenance in the spring like we would normally do in the earlier part of the spring, our trails got very overgrown. And once we got the go-ahead to kind of get back to a little bit of the work here, a lot of the trail trimming occurred late or in the season around the visitor center. And so there really isn't any of these, which we would normally see just coming down the sidewalk into work every day. We would normally see these all over, and I just wasn't seeing them. However, I'm trying to get this lens back on here again for you. We were normally, however, when we were out at 5th and Iris Trail, we saw them all over the golden bush, like usual, over at 5th and Iris. A little more remote area underneath the helicopters, which is not my favorite place to be. Kind of distracting, even when the audio is working, unlike today, but not around the visitor center. And like I said, on my way in this morning, I biked down the Silver Strand, lots of golden bush all up and down the strand, covered in spittlebugs. These spittlebug frothy nests, so to speak. Does anything feed on the nymphs? I'm not sure. I didn't find anything. I'm sure the frog hoppers are also a source of food for maybe birds or other insects, although they're quick. So they must be food for something. And this does seem like it would be easy if a species, a predator knew they were in here, right? That they were in here. Now, there may be a question of, does this hurt the plant? Do these hurt the plant? Well, we have not witnessed that. There doesn't seem to be locally in our chaparral and coastal sage scrub any indication that removing all of that sap from these plants has damaged these plants at all. We see this every year. These individuals, these plants are perennial, so they keep coming back. However, in parts of the United States where they're found all over, in where there's a lot of agriculture, apparently there is some destruction from these frog hoppers that occurs. So, so depending, I guess, on the species and the area and the amount of available food to them, like in a large agriculture setting, they're a bit of a pest. So there you go. We've revealed the culprit of the spittle. these that you might see every summer. spit on, which doesn't look very enticing, doesn't look very appetizing. It's important that we don't mess around with that. You may be able to see one of the nymphs emerge. However, I think when they sense a predator, they hide in there so they don't make themselves known. The main predators are not aware. We are now aware, but we don't want to disturb these very important species, as I'm sure they're an essential part of the food chain here in the chaparral. So I discovered in doing research for today's live stream, there is a video that NBC aired about a week or so ago, made by the New York Times. So some of you may have seen it, but it's just a short video. It's actually pretty interesting, pretty fun. They have some great footage that we wouldn't normally see of the spittlebugs and the adult frog hopper. And one of the staff that's on there, going to share that link in the comment section, so you'll have access to that video. Maybe you've already seen it. I got a good kick out of it, into the world of the spittlebug. Thank you, Anne Marie. There she goes. She's got the link there. So thank you so much. If you're catching this all later and you have any questions that weren't answered in the live stream, feel free to shoot them related to the topic, and I'll come back like I always do and do my best to answer those. And if you have any of your own spittlebugs that like to visit your plants at home, that question about are they specific to certain plants, and I mentioned that we see them mostly on the Isocoma. I did find some today or yesterday on Artemisia, which is a sagebrush, another plant in the chaparral, but I only found it on one, and we do see them there too. But for some reason, it really likes the Isocoma, the golden bush, and it, like I said, it is thriving right now, flowering still. So there's a lot of sap available for these spittlebugs as they move into that next stage of life as the adult frog hopper. So thank you very much. Nice to see you. And sorry about the audio again. And I'm looking forward to when I can see you guys in person, and I can remove my face covering, and we're all back together again. So have a great day. I'll see you next week for Lunchtime Live, and I appreciate you all being there. Thank you. Have a great day.